Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're laser focused on advanced micro devices AMD. We've got a fascinating mix of intel here, primarily an investor's analysis covering, financials, market position, their AI plans.
Which are pretty ambitious.
Definitely. And also a recent sort of quick update on the U.S. AI chip export rules.
Right. So our goal today really is to cut through the noise. We want to understand the key forces shaping AMD, like right now and looking ahead.
Pinpoint the opportunities and the hurdles, because this tech landscape, especially AI, is moving so incredibly fast.
Exactly. You blink and something changes.
Okay, let's get right into it then. This investor analysis, it gives us a snapshot from mid-May 2025. AMD stock at $117.72.
Yep, market cap around what, $190.87 billion?
But what's interesting is the recent movement. A big jump in the last month, even the last week.
Yeah, quite volatile.
But then you look bigger picture, year to date, 1 year, they're actually down.
Though the 5-year is still strong, shows that longer-term growth.
So what's behind this recent jump? The analysis points to a couple of specific things.
Yeah, it seems pretty clear-cut. That $6 billion share buyback announcement.
Okay.
And that really significant AI deal with Humain over in Saudi Arabia. Those seem to be the direct drivers.
Right. So one signals financial confidence, the other a big win in AI. Makes sense. And analyst sentiment. Looks like it's generally positive. Mostly strong buy or buy ratings.
True, but look at the price targets. They're kind of all over the map.
Yeah, roughly $108 on the low end up to $150. That's a pretty wide range. What's causing that spread?
Well, I think that range really shows the uncertainty here, doesn't it? It's a high growth market, should be competitive.
Sure.
And while Q1 earnings, they beat expectations, stock popped.
Right.
That was also when they announced the hit from the U.S. export controls to China. That projected $1.5 billion revenue impact.
Okay. So analysts are probably weighing that optimism against this, like very real geopolitical risk.
Exactly. How much will those controls actually drag things down? Some might be more bullish on AMD navigating it, others more cautious, hence the range.
Got it. Okay, so bit of a mixed picture on the stock then, but let's dig into the actual financials, the core health. Q1 2025 looked impressive.
Oh, definitely. Revenue up 36% year over year, $7.4 billion. And EPS, earnings per share, up 55%. Non-GAAP, but still strong.
And it wasn't just Q1, right? 2024 was a record year, too.
Yeah, if you connect the dots, it shows pretty strong execution. Record revenue in 24, $25.8 billion, up 14%. And record gross margin, 53%.
That margin tells you about profitability after cost.
Exactly. Shows good demand, maybe some pricing power. And what's really key is how the data center and client segments surged.
The offset declines elsewhere.
Right. They offset the drops in gaming and embedded. That kind of diversification, it really helps with resilience.
And that data center segment, wow, you said it's on fire. Up 57% in Q1, and wasn't it almost double in FY24?
Yeah. Huge growth. 94% year over year in fiscal 24. It's driven by their EPYC server CPUs and increasingly the Instinct AI GPUs.
And it's now their biggest revenue source.
Yep. Makes up about half their total revenue now. It just shows the massive demand for high-performance computing, cloud, and, of course, AI.
So EPYC is gaining on the competition, and Instinct is starting to contribute significantly.
Precisely. EPYC has been taking share from Intel consistently, offering, great performance, core counts, and Instinct is getting traction in AI workloads.
Okay, so strong growth where it counts, managing declines elsewhere, and the balance sheet looks healthy, $6 billion cash.
Yeah, healthy cash. Long-term debt is up a bit, but the current ratio is strong. And free cash flow really jumped in Q1.
Which probably funded that $6 billion stock buyback they announced.
You'd assume so, yeah. That financial flexibility is just crucial right now.
Why is that?
Well, it lets them pour money into R&D, which is vital in AI, right? While also keeping shareholders happy with things like buybacks. It shows they can manage their finances while still chasing that massive growth.
Right. Okay, let's dive headfirst into that AI race then. Everyone's talking about it. This analysis, it paints a picture of an absolutely exploding market.
Oh, yeah. Hundreds of billions of dollars projected by, 2028, 2030? It's a huge pie.
A huge pie. Big enough for more than one player, even with NVIDIA's dominance right now.
Hopefully for AMD, yeah.
So what's AMD bringing to the fight? What's in their AI toolkit?
Their main weapon is the Instinct accelerator line. And they seem to have a focused strategy there.
How so?
Well, look at the MI300X. Its big advantage is memory capacity and bandwidth. For really huge AI models, that can be a differentiator.
Better than NVIDIA's H100 in that specific area.
In terms of memory specs, yes. Then they've got the MI325X coming, promising more performance. And the MI300A is interesting. It integrates a CPU and a GPU on one package.
An AP for AI.
Kind of, yeah, shows innovation. And their roadmap is aggressive. They're talking MI450X for late 2026. They're clearly not aiming to be second fiddle forever.
Okay, so how do these chips actually stack up now? MI300X is comparable to the H100 in some tests.
In some benchmarks, yeah, especially where that memory focus helps. And the MI325X is targeting NVIDIA's H200.
But NVIDIA's not standing still. They've got Blackwell coming, the B100, B200.
Exactly. That's the relentless competition. So is AMD's memory focus the winning ticket against NVIDIA's overall compute power? That's the big question.
It seems to be winning them some deals, though. The analysis mentioned customer wins.
Definitely. They're getting traction. Multiple Tier 1 cloud and enterprise customers, that's significant. And that huge $10 billion Humain deal in Saudi Arabia.
$10 billion. What does that involve?
Deploying AMD's full AI stack hardware and software, plus partnerships with Microsoft Azure, Oracle Cloud, TensorWave. They acquired ZT Systems, too. It shows validation.
Okay, the hardware sounds promising, maybe finding a niche with memory. But the analysis really hammers on the software side. ROCm versus CUDA.
Ah, yes, the software equation. This is probably AMD's biggest hurdle.
Why is software so critical here? Can't great hardware win on its own?
Not really, not in AI. Think about it. The best chip is useless if developers can't easily program for it or if the tools aren't there.
And NVIDIA's CUDA.
CUDA has been the standard for years. It has this vast, mature ecosystem. Millions of developers know it, tons of libraries, tools. It's deeply embedded in AI research and development. It's a huge moat.
So ROCm is playing catch-up.
Big time. Historically, it's lagged in adoption, support, ease of use sometimes. But the analysis says AMD has a new sense of urgency.
What are they doing?
Focusing on improving it better, developer relations, software updates, community engagement, pushing the open source aspect.
And the Humain deal you mentioned, that's using ROCm.
Yes, apparently deploying their full stack. So that will be a massive real-world test for ROCm at scale. Huge implications if it goes well or poorly.
Okay. And looming over all this is NVIDIA. Just the sheer dominance.
Yeah, the elephant in the room. Overwhelming market share, leading hardware, that CDA stronghold we just talked about, massive financial resources, strong production ties.
It feels like AMD is trying to climb a very, very steep mountain. What's NVIDIA's single biggest advantage, if you had to pick one?
It's got to be CUDA, that software ecosystem and the developer lock-in it creates. It's more than just the tech, it's the network effect. More developers use it, so more tools get built, which brings more developers. Breaking that is incredibly hard.
Right. Okay, let's pivot slightly. We also had that update on the U.S. AI chip export rules. It said Biden's AI diffusion rule was rescinded. What does that actually mean for AMD selling chips to China?
Yeah, that caused some confusion. It's crucial to understand, while that specific, more recent rule proposal was withdrawn, the existing broader U.S. export controls on advanced AI chips going to China are still very much in place.
So the original analysis we've been using, which mentioned that $1.5 billion hit to AMD's revenue this year because they need licenses for high-end chips, that still stands.
Pretty much, yes.
Yeah.
They still need licenses for the top-tier stuff, like even a modified MI300 series chip they apparently made for China. So removing that one proposed rule doesn't remove the fundamental challenge. Those restrictions are still a significant headwind for AMD in China.
Okay, that clarifies things. So despite all this AI buzz, AMD's other businesses are still critical. Let's talk EPYC, the data center CPUs. Sounds like they're really giving Intel a run for their money.
Oh, absolutely. EPYC's success is a story of consistent execution. They've delivered strong performance, high core counts, good value.
And the market responded.
Big time. They've steadily gained market share against Intel. The analysis mentioned reaching around 25% unit share, but over 35% revenue share in servers. That's huge.
So they're selling more valuable chips on average than Intel in that space.
Oh, it seems that way. Strong adoption of their 4th-gen Genoa and Bergamo chips. Now, 5th-gen Turin is ramping, and they've got Venice on TSMC's 2nm plan for 2026. It's a strong roadmap.
And that stable server revenue must be crucial for funding everything else, like AI R&D.
Absolutely vital. It's the bedrock.
Okay, what about the client side? Ryzen PCs, still doing well.
Yeah, solid revenue growth there, too. Gaining desktop CPU share, both units and revenue. The They're particularly strong in the enthusiast and gaming markets.
And now they're jumping on the AI PC train, Ryzen AI 300 series.
Integrating NPU's neural processing units right onto the chip. That positions them to capitalize on all the on-device AI features we're starting to see.
So another potential growth driver beyond just faster traditional computing.
Exactly. It opens up new use cases, new marketing angles, a significant opportunity.
Now gaming.
Yeah.
That segment's down because of the console cycle, right?
Yeah, the PS5 and Xbox Series XS are getting mature in their life cycle, so chip demand naturally slows down. That's typical.
But there's talk of a PlayStation 5 Pro that uses AMD tech.
It's expected to, yes. That could provide a bit of an uplift later this year or next. And on the PC side, they're working on their next-gen Radeon GPUs RX 9000 series, based on RDNA 4 architecture.
What's the focus there?
Better ray tracing, more AI capabilities built in, trying to stay competitive with NVIDIA on the graphics card front. Gaming is still important for volume and brand, even if it's cyclical.
Got it. And lastly, that embedded and adaptive computing segment. This came mainly from the Xilinx acquisition, right?
Correct. That was a big strategic buy.
It saw a dip recently, but the idea is diversification into industrial automotive communications.
Precisely. While Q1 was down slightly and FY24 saw a bigger drop due to inventory clearing out across the industry, the long-term idea is solid. The market for FPGAs and adaptive chips is projected to grow significantly.
Where are the key opportunities there for AMD Xilinx?
Think industrial automation, smart factories, automotive, especially ADS, advanced driver assistance systems. Also, data center acceleration, think specialized tasks beyond CPUs, GPUs, and 5G, 6G communications infrastructure. AWS is even launching FPGA instances using their tech.
And they're putting AI capabilities into these embedded chips, too.
Definitely. Enabling AI at the edge, in cars, in factories. That's a huge trend they're positioned to benefit from, thanks to Xilinx.
Okay, looking further out, the analysis mentions things like neuromorphic computing, quantum, these sort of next-generation AI technologies. Is AMD involved there, or are they focused elsewhere?
It seems, based on this analysis at least, that their main R&D focus is very much on evolving their current silicon I, the architectures we've discussed, CDNA, Zen, RDNA, XDNA for the AI parts.
And the software, ROCm.
And ROCm, crucially, improving the compiler tools, the hardware-software co-design. While they're likely monitoring those beyond CMOS technologies like neuromorphic or quantum,
They're not betting the farm on them yet.
doesn't seem like it. The immediate massive opportunity is in silicon-based AI. That's where the fight is right now, and that's where their resources seem concentrated. It feels pragmatic.
Okay, so let's try to bring this all together. If you were summing up the investment thesis for AMD based on all this,
Yeah.
what are the core arguments for growth? And what are the biggest flashing red lights, the risks?
Okay, catalyst for growth. Number one is obviously the huge AI market expansion. If they capture even a decent slice, that's massive.
Right.
Then continued momentum in data center CPUs against Intel. Third, if, and it's a big if, ROCm matures and gets real adoption.
That software piece again.
Always. Then the AI PC trend taking off, and growth in that diversified embedded adaptive segment from Xilinx. Plus, just having that broad portfolio help.
Okay, and the risks, the things that could derail this.
Well, the biggest is just the sheer intensity of competition, primarily from NVIDIA in AI. They are formidable. Then execution risk on ROCm. Can they really make it a viable alternative to CUDA? That's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
Geopolitical tensions, those export controls we talked about, huge uncertainty there. Intel potentially getting its act together and fighting back harder in servers or PCs, supply chain issues, you can never rule those out, dependence on the console cycle for gaming revenue, and just general macroeconomic headwinds slowing down spending. It's a significant list.
It is. And looking at the valuation, the PE ratio mentioned, 82.44x, that sounds pretty high.
Yeah.
Suggests the market is already pricing in a lot of that future AI success, right?
Absolutely. That's a growth stock multiple. It reflects very high expectations. The improving free cash flow and the buyback are good signs, but
They basically need near flawless execution, especially in AI, to justify that kind of valuation long term.
precisely. There's not a lot of room for error when the market expects that much growth. Any major stumble, particularly in AI, could hit the stock hard.
So wrapping up this deep dive, AMD, clearly in a really dynamic spot, maybe even a bit precarious, huge opportunities, especially AI, and they're executing well in servers and PCs.
They face massive competition, the software challenge is real, and geopolitics is throwing curveballs. It's complex.
Yeah. It feels like their future hinges, maybe more than anything, on two things. getting ROCm right,
And getting developers to actually use it widely.
and successfully navigating those export rules and the broader competitive landscape, mainly against NVIDIA, plus, obviously, continued hardware innovation.
Couldn't agree more. Those are the absolute key factors to watch.
So for you, the listener, as you think about AMD moving forward, maybe consider this. What concrete signs of progress or setbacks in their ROCm software ecosystem will you look for? And how might shifts in U.S.-China tech policy or NVIDIA's next moves signal whether AMD can truly become a long-term challenger in the AI arena? Something to keep digging into.
Definitely worth watching closely.
Thanks for tuning in to The Deep Dive.